finally here, questions coming from Deborah. Let me just grab a quick glass of water, guys. Okay, so Deborah's asking, is it normal for our solicitor to be the same as the seller's solicitor? It was the seller's estate agent who recommended them to us. They are on the same block as the selling agent. Although it's the same office, the lady handing us is different to the one handling the seller side. Is this legal? As someone suggested, there may be a conflict of interest and that our mortgage people may not be happy with this arrangement. We were told by the agent that this is normal practice and that it will make the sale go through faster. So far, 2 weeks in, it's all been okay, but just a little concerned. Are you able to clarify? All right, Deborah, well, thanks for that question. Great that you've raised it, and this is an interesting one because people do suspect conflicts of interest sometimes between the same solicitor's practice acting for both the buyer and the seller. And as far as I'm concerned, there should be what's called a Chinese wall within the solicitor's practice. And that means that the individual solicitors acting for the seller and the buyer should not be communicating directly, as in, how do I put it? There has to be a certain level of client respect, shall we say, about what they communicate to one another within the office. They can't just meet at the water cooler and start saying, oh, well, you know, Joe blogs from so-and-so property. Well, this has come up and, oh, blimey, it's going to be a bit of a problem. There should be a certain level of respect, I think, for the client's particular details. So it can help to fast-track deals, and I do recommend that, you know, if a buyer is looking to progress a sale very quickly with the seller, one of the things that they can do is offer to pay the seller's solicitor's fees as long as they use an approved solicitor. And sometimes that can be within the same legal practice as the one that they're using, or sometimes it can be an outside firm. So, you know, I can't see there being any major problems here, Deborah, but I would just go along with it, see where you go. If things are moving quickly, you've 2 weeks in, there's no major problems, then obviously, yeah, keep going, I would say, particularly at this moment in time. You don't really want to be changing horses at this stage. And again, if the solicitors haven't raised any issues about it, or they haven't declined to act, which is sometimes what they would do if there was a conflict of interest, as a professional person, if there was a conflict of interest, they should decline to act on your behalf. So if they haven't come up with any red flags and said, actually, it's a problem, we can't act for you, then I would suggest that, you know, all seems to be okay. Might be worth a phone call to them to check whether or not there is any conflict of interest. But, you know, unless they've declared it, which they should have done right at the very start, then, yeah, should be all okay to go through. So wishing you the best of luck with that, Deborah. I hope it all goes well, and hopefully it gets fast-tracked through and it can be done as quickly as possible. So thanks for the question there. Anything else that we can do to help you, then let me know. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. End of another webinar. I apologize if I've spoken a bit quickly. I've drunk quite a bit of coffee today to try and keep myself awake whilst we've been doing this different work in different time zones, and all the travel experience we've been doing as well, which has been pretty full on. So as I say, I've got loads going on in the background at the moment. I'm super excited to bring all of this to you, because I think we're going to shake up the market quite a bit, and we're going to ruffle a few feathers as we're going along. So that's always pretty exciting. But I think the way things are going at the moment in the economy, and interestingly, my the sort of in-laws are asking me this question: what's happening in the economy in England? What's happening with Rishi and all the rest of it? And you know, I do see some potentially darker times ahead. I do see a big change in the property market coming. That's just my own view. Not trying to scare anybody here. I understand that there's a lot of different opinions out there at the moment with interest rates and what's happening with mortgage prices and all the rest of it. But you know, from my side, I still think there's a lot of problems that weren't worked out from 2008. And what has happened over the course of the last sort of 14 years is that they've inflated the asset values on their bank books to try and get themselves out of a big nasty hole. But I'm still convinced that a lot of problems haven't been dealt with, which will probably start to come to light over the course of the next 12 months. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride, but I definitely think now, well, actually 6 months ago was the time, but now is definitely the time for any estate agents or solicitors or surveyors or letting agents or anybody who's involved in the property market. Now is the time to really start to change your game as far as how you go about marketing and selling your services, and how you go about marketing and disposing of properties for clients, because the changes that are coming, I think it's going to reward those who play the longer term game. Okay, so the whole list it on the internet portals and sell it or let it quickly is going to change drastically to it could potentially take 6 months to sell a property. And what do you do in that period of time? How do you then keep your business, the doors to your business open when you've had 18 months of delayed fees coming through your pipeline because of delayed transaction times and all the rest of it? It's playing the long game now, which is going to win. And it's only those that are embracing a lot of the things that I talk about in Estate Agent Secrets that are going to win the agency game in the future and the professional services game in the future for property professionals. So there's a lot going on, a lot of which we're trying to solve a lot of those problems for people. So it's going to be very encouraging to work with a lot of you guys in the future going forward. I'd encourage you to reach out to me if you're interested in getting ahead of the pack, because there will be a tsunami when everything starts to be released. There will be a tsunami of people coming in and saying, we need to work with you. And then it'll be too late because can't work with everybody. We can only work with a limited number of people or a limited number of businesses to give them the level of standard of service that we want to. So I will encourage you to reach out to me before then. But certainly from our side, any members of the public who are watching this, anybody who's got any property questions at all, whatever they're related to, please send them in to us. You can send those into our website, which is WiggyWam.co.uk. Or you can send them via our email address, which is happytohelp@WiggyWam.co.uk. That's happytohelp@WiggyWam.co.uk. Or you can reach out to us on Twitter, which is at WiggyWam_UK. Okay, and we'd be delighted to take all of your questions. We'd be delighted to deal with them. I'm going to be around here in India for the next week as well. And it's a bit touch and go as to whether or not we'll be back from our travels in time for next Wednesday's webinar. So I'll keep you guys posted as to whether or not that's going to go ahead or not. I'm hoping it will be, and it'll be after we've had what I think will be an enlightening experience at the top of a mountain, which will be pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, let's see how we get on. And if I can make it, great. We'll do another webinar next week. If I can't, we'll bump it to the Thursday and we'll run it then as well. So great to spend some time with you guys. Thank you so much indeed for tuning in. As always, as I say, any questions that you've got, send those in via the usual channels. And I'll look forward to seeing you all very soon on another episode. All right, you take care, guys. Thanks for joining me. Bye.